welcome to Half Hour to Health. I'm Dr. Dietrich. On today's show, we'll be discussing why alternative medicine for your pet. We're going to find out about different modes of treatment today. We're going to find out about such things as Bach flower therapies. We're going to find out about acupuncture. We're going to find out about what illnesses respond best to holistic veterinarian care. Also, what about something like cancer? Is holistic veterinarian care even effective for cancer? Well, we'll find out about that today, because my guest on the show today is Dr. Jenny Taylor. Dr. Taylor is a graduate from UC Davis with a doctor's degree in veterinarian medicine. She's also a member of the San Francisco Veterinarian Medical Group, and they offer different modes of treatment. They offer such things as chiropractic, acupuncture, Bach flower remedies, Eastern and Western herbal therapies, just to name a few. Dr. Taylor's approach is very, very unique, and she approaches your pet with very, very gentle and effective treatment to add to your pet's health. So stay tuned if you want to find out about how to get your pet healthier. Dr. Taylor, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Exciting.
It is.
Holistic veterinarian medicine. This is great.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about this.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there's so many people out there right now, they want to go ahead and find out where can they go, or should they use holistic veterinarian medicine? Any suggestions, or what do you think?
Well, I think that there's a lot of information out there. It's pretty much scattered. You know, there's a few central places that they can go to get the information. There are a couple of practices in the Bay Area that people can go to. You can also go to a website on the internet that is very helpful. It's called altvetmed.com, and it's www.altvetmed.com. And they will link you up to veterinarians all over the country that provide holistic veterinary services. It's a great resource. They have a lot of information on care for cancer and other illnesses there as well. There are a lot of books that people can read on the subject.
Yeah, what kind of books would you suggest? I know you brought a couple books with you today.
Yeah, I did. I think that if people are interested in learning more about, say, traditional Chinese medicine for themselves, one book that is a real good book, it's really fun to read, is called The Web That Has No Weaver. And this is one of the textbooks that we had when I went through acupuncture class. This is more about human acupuncture and medicine, but it applies, the principles apply also. It really gives you a good inside look into how this was developed and how it works. The other book that's extremely helpful for people and their pets is a book by Dr. Cheryl Schwartz called Four Paws, Five Directions. And this is an excellent book on traditional Chinese medicine, nutritional therapies for pets. It's technical, but it's also extremely easy to read. It's really a good book to start off with.
Good. Would you suggest that somebody would read that book maybe even before they came in to see you, or within conjunction of seeing you, so they kind of know what you're doing?
Absolutely. In fact, I often will tell people to purchase the book so that they can do some research on their own.
Good.
You know, the more information that people know to bring to me when they come in, the more significant information they can find out from these books, the better.
Sure.
There's one other book I'd like to bring up, and that's Dr. Richard Pitcairn's Natural Health Care for Dogs and Cats. Dr. Richard Pitcairn is a veterinarian. He's a pioneer in the subject of veterinary homeopathy. He's who I got my homeopathic training through. Brilliant man, incredible veterinarian, and he has a practice in Oregon. You can do phone consultations with him also, and that number is listed in this book, and this is an extremely helpful book. A lot of nutrition in this book as well.
Oh, good.
So those would be good places for people to start if they were interested in getting some basic information on how to take care for their pet holistically.
Beautiful. Is there some information that maybe they could just go ahead and just use right away, not even having to come to you? I mean,
oh, definitely, especially nutritional.
Good.
And you know, nutrition is so important, and natural food and supplements, you know, just to sort of increase the general wellness and health and well-being of their pet before they even get sick can be extremely helpful, and you get a lot of that information in those books.
Let's talk about homeopathy, because I know a lot of people are really interested in that. First of all, for our viewing audience out there, Dr. Taylor, what is homeopathy?
Well, homeopathy is, for many people, is a very confusing subject. It was developed in the 1800s by Samuel Hahnemann, who was looking for ways to prevent and cure diseases that were not being treated effectively with Western medicine. And in that time, Western medicine was in its infancy as well. So, you know, there wasn't a lot that they could deal with plagues and that sort of thing. Right. And the whole principle is based on the idea that like cures like. So if you have, say, an illness, a skin disease or a skin rash, or if your pet has a skin rash, you look for a remedy that, if taken in large substances, like a specific herb, if taken in a large amount, would actually cause the exact same symptoms as that skin disease. But you take it in really teeny microscopic amounts, and what it does is it encourages the body's life force to heal itself. It just basically tells it to respond to these things and heal itself from the inside out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you, so when say a patient comes in to see you, do you go ahead and send them home with this particular remedy? I'm talking about patient, like you send your cat or dog. We send, of course, their...
Yeah, well, you have to spend a lot of time talking to people. You'll do an interview and ask very specific questions about the illness, the pet, you know, what are their behavioral abnormalities, you know, what are their dietary preferences, you know, what diseases have they had in the past, what's going on now, what's changed in the household. And you use all of those things to research the specific remedy for that particular pet. And it's very different, you know, in Western medicine, when you have a cold that has an infection associated with it, like pneumonia, the doctor will give you an antibiotic, and everybody gets treated the same way.
Right.
But, you know, if 10 different skin cases come into my practice, each of those pets will probably go home with a different remedy, a different homeopathic remedy. Even though the symptoms of the actual medical illness are very similar, it's different for every pet what they need.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. There's a lot of people out there, maybe for the first time, they're pet owners. They don't know where to go. They don't know exactly, you know, what to feed their pet. They're confused. And we talk about, well, you do a wellness examination.
Right.
Would you suggest for the first-time pet owner to maybe come in to see you and maybe do a wellness exam to give them some kind of direction so they can have some better health for that pet, for the longevity of that animal?
Absolutely. One of the things I love the best is when I get people who come in with pets that aren't actually sick. You know, I see a lot of people whose animals are extremely ill, and I'm very happy to help them. But it's so nice to have somebody come in with a puppy or a kitten, because you can really lay down a foundation of health for the rest of their life. It's basically practicing preventative medicine. And so you look at them, you look at all of their little physical idiosyncrasies, their preferences. You do basically a constitutional analysis of them, and then you figure out what's going to be the best diet for them, the best lifestyle, and you can start them off on the right foot and hopefully prevent a lot of these illnesses that come up down the road. So I usually recommend an annual wellness exam where we spend a lot of time going over everything that's, you know, going to make this pet the healthiest throughout its life.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk about cancer for a moment, okay? I know sometimes a pet is maybe 11, 12 years old or whatever, getting up there in their age, and they have this kind of a pathology. I know we talked about it a little bit before, but I'd like to talk about it. I know a lot of people are really interested in how they can treat illness, say that animal has had maybe for years. Can you go in there and treat this, say this pet with some homeopathy therapy or some Bach flower remedies or whatever, and still give that pet some better life and some more longevity?
Absolutely. It's much harder when you have a pet that's had illnesses chronically throughout their life, and they come to me and, you know, people want me to treat their pets, and we can always, at the very least, eliminate the symptoms or decrease them to the lowest level and give them a sort of more longevity, a better quality of life. Even if we can't make the illness go away altogether, we can stop putting out the fires. We talked about that a little bit last time, where we're just suppressing the symptoms. Actually look at the symptoms and treat them as a whole from the inside out, and try to make them feel better than they've ever felt in their entire lives, in the last few years of their lives.
Now let's talk a little bit about emotional components also in pets. And there's a lot of emotional components there. You know, I've heard they have dog psychologists, etc. And I've heard a lot of that. I've read a lot about those kind of things. Now, as far as, is there some remedies that you can give, say, a pet if they're having some emotional things going on with them, maybe who knows what, staying home by themselves all the time, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, there are a lot. Homeopathy works very well with something like that. There are a lot of remedies that you can use for pets.